Oil, Juan Williams, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Trump has had some strong words lately for the FBI, suggesting it's in tatters. He renewed some of his stinging criticism today ahead of his speech at the Bureau's National Training Center.
Well, it's a shame what's happened with the FBI, but we're going to rebuild the FBI. It'll be bigger and better than ever. But it is very sad when you look at those documents, and how they've done that is really, really disgraceful. And you have a lot of very angry people that are seeing it. It's a very sad thing to watch, I will tell you that. When you look at what's gone on with the FBI and with the Justice Department, people are very, very angry.
The president referring to revelations that at least 2 agents working on the special counsel's investigation were anti-Trump. Also, revelations that the FBI watered down its findings in its investigation of Hillary Clinton. Here's more from the president on that and the ongoing Russia probe.
They're spending millions and millions of dollars. There is absolutely no collusion. I didn't make a phone call to Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. Everybody knows it. That was a Democrat hoax. It was an excuse for losing the election. And it should have never been this way, where they spent all these millions of dollars. So now even the Democrats admit there's no collusion. They've found tremendous things on the other side. When you look at the Hillary Clinton investigation, it was, I've been saying it for a long time. That was a rigged system, folks. It was rigged. And there's never been anything like it in this country that we've ever found before. It's very, very sad.
So, Greg, the president pretty fired up there. Also really channeling the anger that he believes that people feel about the FBI's mistreatment of himself and their good treatment of Hillary.
You know, when you listen to him, you realize that he has not changed. This is the same person who ran. It's like he doesn't talk like a president.
He's got the hands.
He can sit
he's
there
got everything.
talking. But you know what? I was watching the media spin as if slamming the top of the FBI and praising officers is incompatible, that it's not possible to have 2 different opinions about an entity. The fact is, you can be upset about the alleged bias in a bureaucracy and wonder what's going on and still support the forces that are graduating and all those people that are working hard. You can love the players but disagree with the coach, or to use Kimberly's frame, I love England but I hate the royalty.
Okay.
Kimberly, he also mentioned, I don't think we used this in the soundbite, he said when these Democrats come out of these hearings or meetings in the House and the Senate about the Russia investigation, even his worst enemies, he said, the Democrats, can't point to any collusion.
Right.
And I haven't heard any yet.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, he has great points to make, honestly, on his side in terms of the fact that they really were so persistent. You know, they persisted to try to demonize him, to say there was collusion, that this was an election that was totally influenced by the Russians, that there was direct collusion on part of his campaign, the president, but none of that materialized. And now when you're actually finding out what happened, you see that they tried as hard as they could to influence the investigation with specific intended purpose to undermine his candidacy and ultimately his presidency, as if it was their higher duty calling. They didn't come up with anything for that. And they, in fact, went out of their way to sweep under the rug and edit, delete, anything as it related to Hillary Clinton. So, I mean, it doesn't get more, straightforward than that.
It does, and I was happened to catch a little CNN after and how they treated this, and they seized on the fact that, he was disparaging the FBI, as Greg said, and that he had had a conversation with Putin because Putin congratulated him on his stock market rise. So you can pick out different pieces of what the president says and then spin it.
Well, yes, and that's what's happening. If you think about the first 6 months of this investigation, Democrats every day could find a nugget that could absolutely help them make their case and prove their point. Sure. And Republicans were sort of like, oh, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Now it's the other way around. Every little bit of information comes out seems to confirm what the Republicans think. So I think, for me, I'm just waiting till all the facts are out and let the Mueller report be what it is, whatever it is. I do think it was interesting, though, today, one of the things that, remember a week or 2 ago, we were talking about these possible subpoenas of financial records requested by Deutsche Bank. Well, more information comes out on that today, reported by the Wall Street Journal, that they have to do with financial records dealing with Michael Flynn. And we know that from the plea agreement that there was a lot more there that Mueller could have indicted him on, but they decided not to because he's a cooperating witness.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. I guess we'll wait and see how that develops. Juan, I want to go to Greg's point, and we're going to play some sound because the president did eventually go over to FBI headquarters and said some very nice things about the people that work there.
It's an honor to stand here today with the incredible men and women of law enforcement. I want you to know that with me as your president, America's police will have a true friend and loyal champion in the White House. So many people in the FBI. These are great, great people. These are really heroes for all of us. And you are great people doing an incredible job. And I hope your families know that. I'd say 90% of probably 90% agree, right? The other 10%, that's not working out so well.
Come on, Juan, what do you say? Can you give it to him?
Give what to him?
That's funny.
Anyway,
No.
I mean, to me, you know, you talk about, you know, on this show, everybody goes after Colin Kaepernick, Black Lives Matter, disrespect for law enforcement. What Donald Trump did today, again, did more damage to law enforcement in this country and the integrity and respect that we have for law enforcement than anything Kaepernick.
How did he do that?
What?
Oh, are you kidding? A couple of days ago, he said FBI, worst in history, in tatters. Today, he says, it's a mess, but we're going to fix it. We're going to make it better than ever.
Because of the corruption that we've been reporting. That's why he said that.
Wait, you just asked me. What did he say? What did he do? This is disrespect for law enforcement. There is no evidence that anybody has behaved in an untoward manner.
Yes, there is.
He keeps putting
Where
out...
were you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Because I was noticing the propaganda coming from the White House and you repeating it. That's where I was.
Juan,
that
it
was a
wasn't
diss.
propaganda if there's actual text messages of him saying F Trump.
As in, well, he didn't say that.
Yes, he did.
Let me just say that.
You missed that.
No, he did say that.
Let me just tell you something.
Ay, Dios
It
mío.
doesn't matter what my personal opinion is or your personal opinion. It doesn't speak to the integrity of an investigation. And that's what's going on here, is that President Trump is trying to undermine the American people's faith in the ability of the FBI to do its job, undermine trust in the DOJ.
Do you see
it's
what's happening?
It's a hell of a fight.
Because the collusion is an illusion, they are now shifting it to the idea of it undermining the investigation. That's the new tack.
No.
No, that's exactly what the media is doing all day today when they say, how can he say this about the FBI? He can't say that and still support the guys there.
Did
Wait a
Bill
second,
Clinton
who
ever
did it?
criticize
Wasn't
the
Peter
special
Strzok-
counsel in the 90s?
Hang on a second. Wasn't Peter Strzok an FBI agent?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so Peter Strzok is highly regarded within the FBI, given senior responsibilities.
Not anymore.
And guess what? Now you have President Trump saying, oh, because Peter Strzok doesn't like me and is communicating with his friend that he doesn't like me, that means this whole investigation...
Did Trump,
doesn't
did Trump
like
fire
me.
him?
No.
No. Who did?
They didn't fire him. They moved him out.
Mueller fired him,
They
so
fired
apparently
him
it
off
wasn't that
the
great.
committee, and it wasn't just bad-mouthing him. He was cooking up some sort of scheme to protect the country
No, he wasn't.
from the president and taking out an insurance policy in case he won Kimberly.
Let me finish. Today, he comes out there in front of the White House and he says, I didn't make a call to Russia. Where's the collusion? No collusion. He doesn't talk about what's going on with Michael Flynn. He doesn't talk about what's going on with Carter Page. He doesn't talk about Paul Manafort. And yet, what we read in the news today is that Kushner, his son-in-law's legal team, is now contacting crisis managers in anticipation that there's more bad news to come shortly.
You anticipate it because I think the problem is liberals have a real problem admitting to the fact that they screwed up badly with the Hillary nomination, and you got to let that go. We get it. You foisted Hillary on America, and it didn't work. But you have to accept that he won, because that's all this is a refusal to accept an election.
And aren't you allowed to criticize the investigation? I think in the 90s, the White House under Bill Clinton criticized special counsel Starr when they were doing an investigation. I mean, that's politics.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's just history repeating itself. I do think it would be interesting, and I'm not suggesting we get anybody's private text messages, but we did know, based on reporting back in the summer of 2016, that many FBI agents were supposedly mad at James Comey. Remember, we kept hearing that. Rudy Giuliani said that he had sources telling him that. And it is possible that there were agents within the FBI texting to each other saying how ridiculous it was that Hillary Clinton wasn't going to have to go to jail for what she did. And if that were the case, would we all agree that the FBI was corrupt and in tatters? I mean, I think it's inappropriate for anyone to do it especially on a government phone. Just keep your personal opinions to yourself if you're a civil servant.
That is great
Can I
advice.
just distinguish?
Write love notes.
here?
Whatever happened to love notes?
I'm giving
you
you
don't text.
none today.
What? None?
Silencio.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, my turn, Jess. So I think that we should distinguish and be very careful to say, I listened to the president. We all heard what he had to say. I think he has the utmost respect for the fine men and women that serve in the FBI, as do I, in terms of what they do on a day-to-day basis, a great personal sacrifice for not much pay. You have some of the best and brightest that the country has to offer that have worked very hard in their lives to be able to get into those positions. Believe me, the people that work there aren't happy with what happened.
Right.
They don't like that.
No.
They're not happy that this guy went in and abused his office and didn't take it serious and was exchanging this information on a government phone and trying to undermine the job that they wake up every morning and go to bed every night trying to do a good job. And the president was praising them. So, a couple of bad apples in there doesn't ruin the institution. So I heard a very different message from the
Can I
president.
add one other thing to that?
Yeah.
And that is that this just actually broke right before, too, which is that Andrew McCabe, the deputy FBI director, who some people point to as a problem for putting Strzok in this position in the first place, he's due to testify in front of Congress on Tuesday. And I believe it was Trey Gowdy, the representative of South Carolina, said that he would be very surprised if McCabe is still an employee of the FBI by then.
Wow, that's
Yes.
interesting. All right, well, we're going to stay tuned to that. Also, this is just breaking.
Very good.
Lisa Bloom, who's a liberal attorney that's represented women who've accused men in high places of sexual harassment. Apparently, according to The Hill, who've seen the documentation, Lisa Bloom sought to line up paydays for women accusing Trump of sexual misconduct during the last final months of the campaign. And she worked with the tabloids and campaign donors and was getting like a ridiculous cut when she would sell these stories to the tabloids. Does this at all undermine the credibility of some of the Trump accusers? Because I know we've heard a lot about that recently from other networks.
Lisa Bloom tries to explain all of this as to why she was trying to help the women, because they might have to get private security, they might lose their job and be in a bad financial position. I just know that if you have a problem that you think you want to bring to either your boss or to the media, I would not use Lisa Bloom
You think she's
as
tainted?
representation. Yeah, I think that she's past her sell-by date.
But it's not what you said, which is that it's therefore evidence that somehow these women are not to be believed, or they were out there making up stories.
I didn't say it.
I just think you asked the
lends people
question.
to question
but it's not.
credibility.
I mean, what it is that people oftentimes will try to monetize these kind of scandals, and I think even our president had a relationship with the National Enquirer. So
Okay, yeah, people do look for paydays, but I mean, if you're shopping it around,
I have a payday right here.
You did it?
No, I had it in my pocket since yesterday.
Ew, is it?
Isn't that weird? So
Is
in a
it
weird
melted
way,
and sweaty?
I predicted this scandal by purchasing this candy bar and leaving it in my pocket, and I bet it's delicious. I might add that it is another example of transparency. The things that you learn under a Trump presidency, you see the cronyism and the corruption, but you also see this legal dirty trickery that we've never seen before. If we've learned anything from 2016 and 2017, nothing is what it seems. And if you just wait a couple of weeks, you're going to find out. We're looking at a lot of interesting scandals, and you just wait, and then it turns out it's something else completely, and you realize that she was against Trump, but for Weinstein.
Yes.
Yeah, but she was being paid
that's
by
not
him.
political.
working for him, right?
She was
Yeah,
being
it's pretty
paid by
bad.
him on the payroll.
Gosh, she's
Then she had
Kimberly,
to
last word on-
disavow and say, okay, I'm not going to work for Weinstein anymore. So, I don't know. It's getting a little messy.
Yeah, not only was she working with Weinstein, but she was actively seeking to destroy the reputations of some of the women at Weinstein's behest.
Even her mother didn't like that.
No.
What's her mother's name?
No, mother would
Gloria
love that.
Allred.
Gloria Allred.
All right. Another Obama-era
She's all
policy
red.
has been overturned, and it's set liberals into absolute meltdown mode. Wait until you see this up next.
So funny. I was
It's the end of the internet as we know it. All kinds of mass hysteria from the left over the FCC's move yesterday to repeal Obama-era net neutrality regulations. The late-night hosts have some strong opinions about it.
It's a sad day from us webcateers, us internauts.
The FCC did something absolutely despicable today. They voted to put an end to net neutrality. Thank you, President Trump. Thanks to you and this jackhole you appointed to run the FCC, Big corporations are about to take full control of the internet.
And there's no evidence that this is going to break the internet or whatever people are saying. So if you're watching this show right now, online right now, I just want to remind you that
Oldest joke.
Greg said that was so obvious. Celebrities like actor Chris Evans are also up in arms, tweeting, everyone should care about this. It benefits no one unless you're a faceless mega corporation. Nobody is asking for it. Here's one from Chance, the rapper. I predict FCC will go to prison for obstruction of justice in the New York Attorney General's investigation of millions of fake comments that were published on the FCC website. And the FCC head says the hysteria is disproportionate to the facts. So, Dana, what do you make of this? People are really upset, and they're like, okay, first of all, what is net neutrality?
And net neutrality is one of those things that, so on the Daily Briefing show a few weeks ago when this was coming to a head, I said, well, maybe we should do this story. And my producer said, you lost me at net. Like, this is like something that, like, I understand that the left really thinks about this. They care about it so much. They do a ton of fundraising off of it. All the social media on the left, it all is like in lockstep saying that this is going to be the end of the internet. The truth is that competition works in all sorts of different ways, including with energy or something that you would consider a public utility. And part of that is because you want to have competition to improve services and also to have a fair market price for whatever it's going to be. There's an assumption that this is going to be terrible for consumers. It actually could end up being good for consumers because that's how everybody's getting their information. That's where the eyeballs are going to be, is on your phone.
Okay, so Greg, now why is the left totally losing it? Like losing
It's a good sign. Anytime that they become apoplectic and apocalyptic, that means it is a good thing. You don't want government setting your prices. And how can you rely on celebrities to understand or comprehend technology when they don't understand taxation and they don't understand terror
or healthcare?
These are cloistered chuckle buckets who have no insight on the real world. So do not listen to them. But you know, if they pretend to know what they're talking about, they are lying. I will say, I can't even read one article on net neutrality. I have to find like something with talking points. And I know people at home are already going, I wonder if there's a rerun of SVU on right now because I don't understand. But the thing is, it's not as bad. It's never as bad. It's probably going to be good, what Dana said. It's basically, if you're into deregulation as a principle, this kind of makes sense. It's basically getting government out of the way so you can get it done. And they're mad because it's going to be harder for them to get high-speed free pornography.
Oh, thanks for that. Fine point, Greg. Okay. So, Juan, the left is very...
I'm hysterical.
I can tell. First of all, sir, calm down.
I know, it's hard.
Please, calm down.
Whenever I'm in Greg's presence, my heart just,
I can,
sometimes
feel
I
the
break out. I even break out on
my...
my neck sometimes. Yeah, anyway, yes.
Okay,
you get
so
high-speed love from me.
Greg has
no, not that kind.
Greg has some ointment for that.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Why are they so upset over it? Do they really understand what's happening? It's really about deregulation, but in some way they think that something's tangible being taken from them.
I think something tangible is being taken from, because I think the way that we get information now is moving from television to the internet. And what you get here is a situation where, for people who are accustomed to customer service, and you say, you can't watch that because you don't own that bundle right now on your cable TV system. Oh, Fox News is not in that bundle, but you can pay more, and then you'll get Fox News. And people say, what are you talking about? I just want cable news. And they say, oh, well, so imagine now you're applying that economic model to what comes in terms of your computer. And you want to watch something that says, oh, you can't watch it because you have to pay more. You say, oh, well, gee, why is that? Now, Verizon, Comcast, all those folks say, nah, no big changes. It's going to take a while anyway. But you must remember that Sheryl Sandberg, Facebook, Twitter, all these people who, contrary to what you may have heard here today, know a lot about the internet, say this is a bad deal.
Yeah,
but
but
consumers will
they've
end
been
up
wrong
paying
on a
more,
lot of things.
and there will be less access to information. I mean, I just don't understand.
Juan, was it the end of the world before this was changed by Obama? I don't seem it to be that,
no, exactly.
that awful.
No, what you have, though, is utilities. Public utilities are all regulated. In other words, when we turn on the lights in our studio, believe me, somebody has something to say about the cost and the consistency of service and the like. And what Ajit Pai is doing is saying, oh, I just believe in the free market. Let it be. Laissez-faire.
Well,
Awesome.
I think Ted
Jesse?
Cruz said this was Obamacare for the internet, and we know how that turned out. I'm so tired
Well,
of
that
the
website
left's-
crashed.
Yeah, I remember for $1 billion. But the left's argument every time is, so you get rid of net neutrality, the internet dies. You repeal Obamacare, people die. You drill in Anwar, the reindeers die. Withdraw from the climate, the world dies. So it's basically saying Republicans just want to do things and kill people for money. Or if it's not they want to do it for money, it's because they're bigots. Build a wall, you hate Mexicans. Travel ban, you hate Muslims. So the Democrats just impugn the motives of Republicans. Heaven forbid they just want free market principles, because that's what they believe in philosophically. But no, they're evil.
They're evil.
And they're greedy. That's why you can't have
Are
a
you
conversation.
feeding-
We just think you guys are wrong and naive.
I
You
see.
think we're evil and greedy.
I don't know who you guys are, but let me tell you, the people who know about this, like
You know
Sheryl
one.
Sandberg, Sheryl Sandberg thinks you're uninformed and
I think
playing
she's
grievance
evil.
Sheryl
politics.
Sandberg
I'm
also
surprised
is
that Greg
responsible
is
for all those Russian bots you complained
Greg,
about.
go at him for playing identity grievance politics.
I just don't know why he had
That's
to.
a good one,
I know why he had to kill all the reindeer before Christmas. I think that was an unwarranted
Well, he's getting
example.
coal anyway.
All right, we got to jump. House Speaker Paul Ryan catching a lot of attention with his new call for Americans to make more babies. See what all the fuss is about coming up next. Is that
Welcome back. Congress working on tax cuts for Americans, but we need to do more to get the economy humming again, according to House Speaker Paul Ryan. And he means that very personally. His solution? Have more babies.
Yes.
This is going to be the new economic challenge for America. People. Baby boomers are retiring. I did my part, but you know, we need to have higher birth rates in this country. Meaning, baby boomers are retiring, and we have fewer people following them in the workforce. We have something like a 90% increase in the retirement population in America, but only a 19% increase in the working population in America. So what do we have to do? Be smarter, more efficient, more technology, still going to need more people.
So what do you think, Kimberly? I heard you shouting with delight.
Yes. Well, I think it's a nice idea, isn't it?
Having babies?
Yes.
Oh, I love babies. So,
Right.
I mean, yes.
So, I mean, I know, and you have a lot of nice babies in your family. So I get the idea of what he's saying. I don't know why they have to criticize him. I don't get it. He's just saying, you know, let's continue to populate and have children and produce so that we can have people in meaningful positions. I don't think that was a bad thing.
I don't either. I didn't even know he was being criticized, but I guess the people are saying, what an unusual solution to our retirement problem as the baby boomers age.
It's a little wonky. I don't know if he sold it, but it's true. You do need to have people procreate in order to have a successful industrialized nation that can support its baby boomers. I don't hear
As
a lot.
they retire.
As they retire. I mean, it's not your patriotic duty to have babies. People can choose if they want to have babies. Some people can't have babies. And that's
some
fine.
people think it is.
Okay, but that's fine. But they do need to be able to spend money through taxes on supporting all these people that are hitting the retirement age. Heaven forbid you cut spending. Heaven forbid you reform the entitlement program or maybe do means testing or raise the
better call the
retirement
White
age.
House then.
There's a lot of things you can do. No, Trump doesn't want to touch that.
I know.
Doesn't want to touch that. He needs the old people to vote for him and for re-election. So it's a touchy
Oh my God, look at
subject.
Jesse.
Wow, that was really interesting because, in other words, you're taking on Trump on this one.
Yeah, I'm taking him on. Reform it. Reform entitlements. I'm down, but I don't think he's going to do it.
There goes
I don't
your
think most people.
invite.
So, Dana, one of the obvious solutions would be immigration.
Well, that's one of the things. That's why I think probably if there was criticism, it'd be from Democrats saying, oh, yeah, then why don't you allow some sort of comprehensive immigration reform so that people could have temporary visas, maybe come in here and work. But I also think that what Paul Ryan is saying is that if you look at other countries, especially I think Spain is one of them in particular, maybe Portugal, and also in Japan, they are trying to figure out a way to actually pay families. Please, we'll give you money if you will have more babies because you need to have a growing and thriving population. And so I think that's just the idea
They pay
here.
people to
I
have
did not
sex?
do my
Is that
part.
what they're doing? That's radical.
No.
Well, to pay them to procreate.
And then to actually have the baby.
Interesting concept, Spain.
But that's another thing that, just one last thing on that, is that when, Marco Rubio decided he's going to be a yes on tax reform, and part of that was because
Child tax
they agreed to increase the amount for working families, if you have children, to be able to participate in the refundable tax credit. There is criticism about that from a pure economic standpoint, but if you are pro-family, pro-blue-collar worker, pro-working family, then you should be for that, and that's why I think he said he's a yes.
So, Greg, you know, what struck me was here, it says that we have record low fertility in 2016, and that the U.S. birth rate declined in 2015 and 2016. We obviously don't know about 17. But I thought I'd ask the professor, why is this, Professor?
I'm glad you asked. Women are waiting too long to have children, so that creates fertility difficulties.
Why are they waiting, Professor?
Perhaps because they have more options in careers, and men are maybe less likely to marry because people are getting married later in life. There are more options for career, and there are more options for pleasure. And we are a society that is less tethered. What are you doing? To the engine. We're less tethered to the engine of natural selection. Having kids is a brutal proposition. So you need two incentives to guarantee that people have kids, or we will not have a human race. Two of them, procreation has to be pleasurable. If procreation wasn't pleasurable, there would be no children. Plus, babies have to be adorable because they can't take care of themselves. So you need two things matter. You have to have procreation, and the babies have to be cute. But the problem is, once you see the evolutionary tricks that are involved, you circumvent them. People understand that it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have sex for procreation. You now have porn, you have hobbies, you have pets. So now people... This is why there are fewer babies, is because people don't see the evolutionary need for it.
Wait a second. We don't have time, but I just think love is a great thing. Let me just tell you something.
We're not even sure this is even real, Juan. This could be a computer simulation. You might not even be here.
That's possible. Yeah.
Wake me up from this nightmare.
I think I'm like Max Headroom or something at this moment. There's some backlash over an upcoming ban on gender stereotyping in advertising. So, is this political correctness at its very worst? Next.
I got an offer for my house on.
Hey, Mom. What are you doing? What is that? What is this?
It's a special paste I invented to replace socks. We're dipping our feet in it.
Why?
Because we can't find socks that shape to our feet. We're sick of it.
Sick of it.
So, cute commercial, right? Well, you won't be seeing ones like that soon if you live in the United Kingdom. Starting next year, regulators are banning all advertisements that contain any kinds of gender stereotypes, like that dad being bad at childcare or a mom in a traditional role cooking and cleaning. So is this a PC gone way too far once again? Greg, I turn to you.
All right, I'm going to continue with my conversation from last segment. This is a hate fact.
Please, yeah.
Sex roles exist because they are true. They were true 200,000 years ago for the purpose of species survival. Men were biologically designed to take risks, and women were to nurture and care. Not necessary as much anymore because we're not in the survival of the fittest
mode. But now
mode.
you're doing this whole natural selection thing that you disavowed in the last segment.
But the fact is, no, I'm saying natural selection is the engine behind all of this. But you don't blame the animals for the instincts that still exist. I love doing laundry. I love it. It's very repetitive activity that soothes me, but my wife hates it when I do it because I'm terrible at it. Women might be more patient and deliberate about certain activities. Men may be more rash in their decision-making, so it makes them terrible at doing certain things that women might be better at. Is that sexist? No, it's a leftover. It's a leftover from the biological instincts of 200,000 years ago.
I was thinking of you, Jesse, because we were talking about the free market and letting the free market decide.
Yeah.
Did I do something wrong?
No,
I'm just laughing at Gutfeld.
Oh, okay.
Put a fine point on that brilliant commentary.
But okay, so if you let the market decide, so these are the regulators saying that the companies could no longer do this. But what if that makes it impossible for you to sell your products?
Well, that's why it's in Great Britain and not the land of the free, home of the brave here in the United States. Oh, I didn't know they had standards on commercials. Every time I watch a commercial, it's like a hot girl with a beer or a hot girl with a mop or a hot girl with a car.
Or a guy with two pillows.
Right. And the only time the guy comes into the picture is you buy the product so you can be the guy that gets the girl, or for comedy reasons, if the guy gets hit below the belt, or if he drives his car into a lake. But the point is, you want to sell a lifestyle. But if the lifestyle doesn't reflect reality, then no one's going to buy the lifestyle. Right.
Like William Devane could not be a beta male. No one's going to buy gold or silver from a beta male.
Oh, my God. How much do I love him?
You love William Devane.
I just do it again.
What's in your safe? See? That's what everybody just freezes.
Come over and find
What's
out.
in your safe?
Yeah.
KG, do you think it's possible that in 50 years people will look back and say, I can't believe that human beings actually used to think there was a difference between boys and girls?
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Is that going to happen?
So you're saying it'll be just indiscernible between
It's like,
Jesse?
we'll look like we can't believe that there was ever.
That's how it is in college.
That's like really bumming me out. I mean, I would like to see there's a big difference between me and Jesse.
I don't see gender.
Huh?
Huge difference.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
you
know.
look
It's
confused.
too much PC. I don't know why they're doing this in Britain. They're becoming like they're rolling back.
They're driving me
clock.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
Juan?
not good.
But they cling to royalty.
I really was taken by so many things that you said. I thought especially the whole idea that we are animals, and so there's a lot of gender-specific instinct.
Thank you, Juan.
But I do also think that when we have gender roles confirmed or reaffirmed by our media and by stereotypes, so you think, well, gee, a woman can't be president or a woman can't be a general because you say, well, that's a soldier. But what happens when you have women who want to fight as soldiers and are quite good at it? Are we supposed to say no? I just think
But
we
that
don't.
doesn't have anything to do with like having regulations on how you can sell your product.
Well, if it's offensive, if they say, hey, you know what? We don't think women should be the White House press secretary. That's a job for a man.
I mean, well, obviously not.
Who said that?
All right.
Who said
Facebook
that?
Friday when the 5 returns.
If you borrow dresses like you borrow time, if you dream all day and drink all night, if you're looking for love, but willing.
The Manhandlers. He's working up an appetite a manhandler can handle. Looks like my boy's grown up. He's ready for Campbell's Manhandlers, like split pea.
Oh, I love that soup. It's Facebook Friday. Let's begin, shall we? Okay, Greg. Wow, I heard it. Anyway, voices. This is a question from two people. I'm going to start with you,
it's not
Dana.
made up
Two
yet.
people sent this question in because it was a very.
Same two people?
They took them an hour to write this. They took turns on words.
Okay.
How do you guys smile and laugh? Oh, it's Robin and Larry, by the way.
Okay.
How do you guys smile and laugh after a political disagreement?
Because politics is not that important. We are all friends. We enjoyed having a big discussion, and then it's over. I mean, it's one of the most interesting things to have been here for we're in our 7th year, and so we do that, and then we just move on to the next subject.
Jesse, has there been periods where it's hard?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. We smile and laugh because we get paid. If this was in a bar, I would leave and go to the other end of the bar. Sorry, Juan.
No, you
this
wouldn't.
is not fun.
No, you wouldn't.
No, that's true. I wouldn't do this
I'm
for
teasing.
free.
I'm teasing. No, it's because,
Oh,
you know,
my God.
Juan's a good guy. And,
Hey, I'm on this side of the bar.
yeah,
Come on now.
I'll come around the
Settle
other
it
side
down.
Wake up.
Well, Juan, you're, let's just say,
Yeah,
to coin
poor
the
Juan.
title of another show, you're outnumbered.
Big time.
Yes.
yeah, how do you do it? That's
yeah.
the question.
Well, you know what? Actually, these are smart people. For the most part, sometimes I hear things that I think are ridiculous, but and other times I hear propaganda, which really has been bugging me lately.
Yeah, that's the producers.
Thank you.
Just kidding. I love you guys.
Jesse never opening again.
But actually, seriously, no matter that I'm more liberal than you guys, I think that it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, of course.
I like that.
No, it's like that's, you know, Kimberly, we always said,
Yes.
there's no other place where this happens.
No,
For real.
I agree.
I
That's
don't
why
think
they have
so.
Juan. Set.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
speak for yourself.
No, but I think I love politics. I've always loved talking about it, and the show is fascinating. It's interesting. We all get along fantastic, especially when Dana sends me meat treats.
Ooh.
My apartment.
And buys us wine.
You know what the hardest?
Yes, and so then we can laugh and joke, and we have inside jokes. And I look at Greg, and really makes me laugh.
The hardest thing and the reason why you get paid is to care about something that you don't care about.
Like net neutrality?
Yeah, it's like being forced to do. It's like you have to pick a side. I don't have a side. I don't care either way
I
what
had to do
happens.
it in the B block.
I'm so glad the Roy Moore thing is over. I'm like, get this thing away from me.
No
All right.
more.
No more. All right, this is a question from Michael B. Ooh, this is an interesting question. I know exactly. I'm a Kimberly. You're, from Michael B. You're on death row, which we know will happen. What is your request for your last meal?
Okay, obviously I would never be put on death row. Who would want? It's like natural selection. Don't put this down. I would say if it was my, I know.
Wow.
Race to the finish. I would say that it would have to be something involving salami or
Yes.
like pepperoni pizza.
That'd be good.
Something like that. Maybe like some McDonald's, like the chicken nuggets too. I definitely love pigs in a blanket. What else, Dana, do you think?
I got one.
Mason cheesecake.
All-you-can-eat buffet because you keep eating and never stop and you never get fried.
Very good.
You think the warden's a dummy.
Very good. All you can eat.
Worth a shot.
All right, what do you got?
That's actually very funny.
What about you?
I would go with my mom's kraut Ramsies.
What are those?
It's so she takes dough and rolls it out like this, and then puts hamburger meat and cabbage, maybe some onions or something. And then she folds it all up into a pocket and bakes it. And then when you cut it open, you put a little butter in there. It's really good.
Nice.
Is your mouth water?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Juan, last meal, death row?
Well, I don't think, I guess I'd have crabs and beer and
You
maybe
like ice
ribs.
cream, though.
Nice.
I love ice cream.
Yeah.
Cinnabon. You know, what we're talking about here is, look, if you're going, you want comfort food.
Exactly.
Right?
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
your last
okay.
dopamine rush.
Yeah.
What about you?
Because I'm lactose tolerant, I would have a gallon of creamy chocolate milk, just to leave a mess.
Oh, God.
So, it's the last revenge.
That is
always about
so
this, right? It's always about his
disgusting.
stomach.
No, I'm just saying,
It
if you're going
is.
to go,
Everything.
you're going to go.
He's like
lactose
the GI
I became
terror
lactose
train.
intolerant like in the last 4 years, and I don't know why. Let's move on.
Excuse me. I didn't know you were black. I realized.
Wait, what? What? What?
I don't understand. All right. Donald R. asks, what banned phrase would everyone choose to ban? That's a good one. All right. What, Juan?
No, you're
I
the
know.
praise banner.
Wait.
Guess what?
That's my phrase. By the way, Juan,
I wanna
that is
ban
everywhere. Ever since you started
You
doing that
did it,
on this
Juan.
network, I just hear nothing but guess what?
Guess what?
Guess what?
Guess what?
It's
Guess what?
you've created some kind of weird.
Why are people listening to
Brainworm.
Juan on...
Maybe I got an idea, but I won't say.
Okay,
You know,
thank you,
guess
Juan.
what?
You know what it is, though? Guess what? Is a setup. It's like when you throw the ball and it's served.
It makes sure that,
Serve.
that
They hit
people
it.
are going to listen.
Yeah.
He always double faults.
Yes.
I'm banning virtue signaling.
But it's such a good one.
He likes that.
Yeah.
No, I
Identity
know.
politics?
It's overdone.
Well, then come up with an overused phrase should have a replacement phrase.
All right, I'll work on it.
Virtues could be
I'll work on it.
moral posturing. Moral posturing.
That's annoying, too. I hate moral posturing.
But that's virtue signaling. Jesse.
Wait, we're doing this again? I thought we just...
Did you ban a phrase?
Oh, ban a phrase.
Are you already done?
I'm done. I'm good.
I
All
did
right,
it first.
I'm good.
I did it first.
Oh, you said-
I
oh.
said, guess what?
Yeah, you know, don't you think
Oh my
Snowflake is done?
Yes, I agree. Snowflake is done.
all right.
Deep state?
Deep State, very good.
Yeah.
Both of
Oh,
those.
now I'm starting to believe in it.
But you know what's funny? The same people who say Snowflake also say Deep State.
Ban,
That's right.
ban the swamp.
All right.
Oh,
One more thing.
No,
up next.
exterminate.
Oh, exterminate.
Nobody.
Nobody can do it like McDonald's can.
Nobody.
Nobody.
It is time now for one more thing, the Daily Briefing Zone.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so if you ask Santa for a selfie stick for Christmas, you should really maybe ask for something else. Psychologists have determined our obsessive need to post selfies. It's actually a genuine mental condition. They have named it selfitis and even developed a selfies behavior scale, selfitis behavior scale, to determine the severity of the disorders. Quote, researchers found that typical selfitis sufferers were attention seekers, often lacking in self-confidence, who were hoping to boost their social standing and feel part of a group by constantly posting images of themselves.
I agree with
You've
that.
been warned.
All right. Greg.
Keep yourself on the shelf, not just the elf. We'll be right back, America.
You'd be perfect on a shelf.
I would be. I've been on your shelf many times. You just don't know it
Wow.
because I'm dressed up as a little elf.
What
Anyway,
Wow.
elf
So
on a shelf.
scary.
Believe me, it's an obvious joke. All right.
Now he's
Saturday.
Yelling at me.
Yes. Shut up, Waters. All right.
I prefer if you say Jesse.
Oh, we're back to that again.
Saturday, 10 p.m. That's December 16th. You got a new episode of The Gutfeld Show. You got Jason Chaffetz. We don't see him enough. Tom Shalhoub. And Kat Tipp and Tyra. It's going to be great.
Hey, Juan Williams.
Well, last night my family felt the force. Eli, my grandson, took his parents and one grandma to the premiere of Star Wars The Last Jedi. All around the world, Star Wars fans got to enjoy the film last night, like these fans in Malaysia.
Wow.
The crew aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, stationed 80 miles offshore, treated to a special screening courtesy of Disney.
nice.
The film has already raked in $45 million, second biggest Thursday night preview ever, the largest Star Wars The Force Awakens. Fans will remember the film because it features Princess Leia, played by Carrie Fisher, who died a year ago. Lots about female empowerment, according to my film reviewer, Mr. Eli Harold.
Oh, very cool.
I love a political message in a science fiction movie.
Okay. All right, Water's World this Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. We have probably the most fair and balanced lineup we've ever had. Kellyanne Conway, Sebastian Gorka, Dr. Gorka, and Sean Spicer. The gang's all back together.
It is. It's like the
summer
band.
of 2017.
It's like the band reuniting.
Also, we interview this guy. You may know him from this video.
What up, Council? My name is Chad Kroger. I'm an activist and house party enthusiast. Over the past week, I've been in a state of deep despair upon hearing the news that LA is trying to outlaw house parties in the Hollywood Hills. I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
His cousin.
It's a blockbuster interview.
And see his Paul Walker one he does, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So cute.
KJ.
All right, very special. One more thing for one of my best friends, Danielle Yancey, and her grandpa, Denton Messick, a.k.a. Pops, received a Medal of Honor by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. He is 95 years young and honored last night in a very special ceremony. So he received the Medal of Honor for serving in World War II as a sergeant in the 347th Air Service Group in the U.S. Army Air Corps. Thank you for your service.
All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Special report up next. Brett Baer, you are up next.
I am. Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
This is a Fox News.